should be live. All right, welcome. Let everyone get into the room here for a couple seconds. Throw in the chat where you're from. If you were on the trivia, did you win? Did you get a prize? Did you just, were you locked out of your own phone like Chip? This is the tech panel. So,
no.
That's all right. Okay, well, I think that's it. Let's cut right into it. So this is a technology leadership panel, and we've got three amazing guests. So, every year we kind of hear the same thing going over and over. Safety professionals have the same challenge every year. We want better tools, but we can't get the budget or buy-in. So today's panel is about bridging that gap, understanding what's possible, to knowing how to convince your company or boss to invest in it, and even the right ways to go about that. So without further ado, let's meet our panel. We've got Chip Duffy from EHS Momentum. We have Hewitt Roberts from Certainty Software. And we have Brad Ostelosh from Kepler 51. And we're going to talk about give them a second to introduce themselves, and we're going to talk about where safety tech is today. So just do a little around the horn. Chip, why don't you introduce yourself, and we'll go to Hewitt next.
Perfect. Chip Duffy, the president and founder of EHS Momentum. We are heading into our 10th year. I started out as a consultancy and have a SaaS product that helps small and mid-sized business automate processes. And we are a first time and every time sponsor of Safety Connect.
Sounds good. I'm Hewitt Roberts, CEO of Certainty Software. Been around since 2010. Certainty is an enterprise-level audit and inspection management platform. And we work with typically larger global companies like Chevron, Mondelez, Nissan, Kellogg, Olympus, and many others like that. And the Certainty platform is now used to complete over 6 million audits and inspections every year, and close out over 20,000 corrective actions annually. And thank you for inviting us to the conference.
Yeah, thanks, Hewitt. Brad?
Hey, how's it going? I'm Brad Astelosh, and I started Kepler 51. I'm the founder and CTO. I realized that the new machine learning tools and AI could be used to help transform the safety threat intelligence universe. By breaking down some of the silos that have been built up around the safety scene, and wanted to create a platform that had that led to more efficient outcomes and human-centered workplace. Cheers.
Thanks, everyone. So let's kick it off. So we're going to talk about where safety tech is today, what's coming next, if we all had a crystal ball, and how you can make that compelling case to maybe make that investment, now. So let's start off with the state of safety tech adoption. So despite years of innovation, many companies are still stuck in spreadsheets and manual systems. Why is adoption still so low, and what needs to change first? Is it leadership mindset? Is it tech accessibility, or how safety pros tell the story? What do you think it is? So Chip, what's the, I'll start with you.
I think a lot of folks don't really fully appreciate how their team's actually going to use the tech. We're trying to, we spent years trying to get the front line to adopt products, adopt software, adopt wearables, but now the best systems are adapting to them. So the goal is really not more dashboards or more data. There's a ton of data. It's less friction. It's ease of use. It's understanding. It's the frontline worker knowing the why versus just and this is easy to be generic, but the C-suite sort of saying, this is the new tool we will use. As tools get easier and tools are just better and smarter, we have a lot more, we see a lot more adoption because the frontline understands why. People know what it is they're actually trying to accomplish versus just yet another dashboard.
Awesome. Hewitt, what separates companies that successfully adopt from those that stall?
Good question. I think from our experience, we find that those, the certainty customers that succeed and those that generally succeed, they don't start with the technology. They're not enamored by, the shiny new technology tool. They start with the problem that they're trying to solve. And I think more importantly, the people that will be involved in solving the problem, and they're looking for outcomes, like data consistency, visibility, accountability. And when it comes to larger projects, which we typically get involved in, they're looking for all of the people involved in solving the safety problem. What devices do they use? Where will they be using them? Are they online or are they offline? What other things do they need that are not the things that you need? Like what languages are they going to be working with? And I guess ultimately they treat the people who are using the tools as keys to getting the most important asset, which is the data, rather than just meeting a compliance checklist. And then make sure that the tool and the technology is accessible, that the information that they're getting is accurate, and that the things that they deliver are actionable across the organization.
Awesome. Yeah, we heard that yesterday. What are you solving? Get clear. Brad, what needs to change first? What is it?
Well, I think the things that really work now are automating routine and hazardous tasks, maintenance regimes and things like that. I think we're really doing a good job across the board. I was at the Global Safety Exchange Conference, talked to hundreds of people, creating situational awareness from a large number of data points at a factory, semiconductor factory that I was at last week. There are thousands of sensors reporting every second on the state of machinery and task completion. And these relationships, are really dynamic and nonlinear. And it's really, even though humans are pretty good at, understanding nonlinear relationships at the scale we're talking about, I think they're only really good at them if they're presented in a proper way. And one way would be with visual displays, but they have to be, set up in the right way, because humans, of course, are always quite bad at, there's something called change blindness, or, where small changes can happen, or even big changes can happen and you don't notice them because your focus is misdirected. So I think that AI can really help with automatically labeling hazards, but also displaying it in forms that we readily, we see and give a holistic understanding of where we're at. Right?
Cool. And where does it fit right now? Like what's real and what's hype
There's
with
the
AI?
hype. Okay.
Everything's AI,
So
right?
one thing that was interesting at that conference, there was an FBI guy who was talking about the AI had just solved Erdos problems, which are like fundamental problems in math. So it turns out that the solving of these they found some solutions on the internet that marginal thinkers had thought up, and it found them by doing a search for them. But I think what we're looking at is, what I'm seeing is, when you have human-centered AI where it uses AI as a tool, I think that's a good fit right now. When you have technology-centered AI where the problems are considered, all safety problems are considered to have a technological basis instead of a social organizational component, or a big social organizational component, then you'll see bad fits. So I think, the hype is around AI employees, agentic AI, even though there's a lot of great things going on there. That kind of say, oh, you can just offload this safety problem, yet another way to offload the safety problem over to some technological solution. And we've seen over and over again that that's just not going to work. Most safety problems are really particular to the industry and to the company culture that they evolve into.
Awesome. And then Hewitt, I just wanted to follow up a little bit. So it's like successful companies versus, ones that aren't. What is, if you had to boil it down, what would the key difference be, in your experience, Hewitt?
Yeah, it's making sure that you understand the problem you're trying to solve. I mean, there's so many technologies out there looking for a problem to solve, and if you get yourself roped into one of those, then sure, it might look great, but then you got to ask yourself, well, what is it we're actually trying to do? What problem are we trying to solve?
Yeah.
And once you've understood that, make sure that you understand all of the moving parts in solving that, and most importantly, of course, the people.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, so and you hit the nail on the head. It's not a technology issue. It's an alignment issue, and people are usually involved. So we have to connect data, process, leadership, workers, the entire picture. All right. So, okay, let's say we want to, we think we need it. We've maybe identified a problem, maybe a solution or two out there. So now we got to build that business case, right? We want to influence the executives to say yes. So the question is, our members say that the biggest barrier isn't knowing what tool to buy, it's getting management to say yes. What makes a strong business case for technology in 2025? Brad, let's start with you.
Okay, so I'm just going to look at the problem from the point of view of, how can we, I think a great argument, of course, is you have your safety argument and cost avoidance and reduced downtime. So I'll take that element. So I've had a long history of working in survival analysis, trying to calculate when a part or person or machine will break or fail, right? So in the past, this was typically handled by a reactive solution where if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You shut down production lines, or you use an approach where it's the average time to failure, and you say, okay, we're going to replace some safety equipment or some part at a certain time, but then you get a terribly inefficient solution there. So the new paradigm is, and I think this is a way to sell it, is to understand this new paradigm is that you combine a massive amount of IoT-based data collection and using anomaly detection and an understanding for each part what its remaining useful life is, and then use proactive alerting and steering to retire just that failing part. And what you get, for instance, is you've minimized the parts that you have to replace, and you find defective parts that you wouldn't find in any of the previous approaches. So in the end, I think that this type of using AI to be able to make a business case, and this is just an example, but I mean, there's a lot of examples like this where you can get a safer, more efficient, and more productive workplace. And I think that that's a powerful argument for making sale, going to executives and building the case.
Hewitt, what makes a strong business case for technology in 2025?
I think one thing that's really important is understanding that there could possibly be, different languages spoken at the different levels of an organization. So you have safety professionals who may not speak the same language, financially, as the executives that they're trying to convince. So if they can, they will be able to make executives say yes when they can connect their safety objectives with the business outcomes that the executives already care about, productivity, uptime, cost savings, and all the rest of it. So it's about converting the safety results into a language that they understand, more consistent and accurate data, more closeout of corrective actions, faster audit cycles, less time, involved in, managing audit programs. And instead of saying things, well, we're going to improve safety, we're going to improve compliance, it'll be very, precise. We'll save, 100 hours a week, or we'll improve corrective action closeout from 60% to 95%. We'll reduce the cost of non-compliance by $150,000 a year. So the ROI, even if they don't get to an ROI in the classic terms of ROI, they get very close, and they can convince and otherwise communicate in a language that their senior executives understand.
Nice. And do you have examples of which ROI metrics are poking those safety executives? Which ones resonate with executives?
I think a really easy one is time, and the amount of time that's saved in the process that already exist. It's difficult to tie things like data accuracy in not using spreadsheets to using a tool that improves accuracy to outcomes, but the links are obviously there. The cost of non-compliance, which might be the result of that, can often be very, very, very significant. So even if you get a number of these variables or attributes in the conversation, then at least you're talking a language that's a little closer to what they understand.
Awesome. Time. The only thing worth more valuable than money is time, right? Chip, what do you think makes the strong business case for tech in 2025?
Hewitt, of course, and oh, sorry, am I something wrong?
Yeah, it was sort of muted there for a quick second.
Okay.
You're good.
I mean, the C-suite, they're all about performance. So of course they want these measurables. But what I coach safety teams and safety professionals to do is you've really got to broaden the net. Like you need to sell this as a company solve. This can't be a departmental solve. This can't be something that only helps you. It needs to reduce friction, break down barriers across maintenance, across HR, across other systems where currently data is siloed. Training is an example of something we see all the time. Like sometimes HR owns it, sometimes safety has it, and a lot of times if you can bridge that gap between siloed information, it really helps tell the story. One, it gives you some more internal advocates to help you, make the pitch to get the new tool, but it also shows management that you're thinking bigger than just the safety program. This is about identifying profitability leakage and inefficiency that will really speak to the CFO. At the end of the day, if the bean counters really want you to show an ROI, you have to cast a wide net, and you have to build some support internally. That's what we see as the most effective way to drive an implementation.
So like integration, process efficiency, how do they translate then? And kind of Hewitt was talking about it, but bottom line impact, like how do they?
Well, I mean, there's a bit of betting on the come, right? We've got a reduction in compliance risk and things like that. Where we have had the most positive impact is helping folks tell their story to their insurance company. So that can lead to immediate returns with your premium reduction. Now, if you have a bad EMR or you've had some significant injuries, that's going to be a heavy lift. But if you are in the process of improving, and now you have a tool that will help you demonstrate with data how you are improving, that is one way that we've seen immediate bottom line numbers is the reduction in the premium, because your insurance carrier is now viewing you as a more insurable risk.
I like it. So time, direct cost savings if you can prove them out. So talking in dollars and time is probably, there are a lot of soft things out there, the performance and data accuracy, but sounds like as a safety professional, you have to do some homework and translate those things into dollars and time in an essence. So awesome. Thank you guys. So, okay. We're gonna, if we can, we're gonna fast forward to 2027. Whew, that's far away as far as I'm concerned in tech language. Which technologies will have the biggest impact, and how should safety professionals prepare today for 2027? Let's who hasn't gone first? Brad, do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. I think, where are we heading with this? I think in 2 years, and really now we're starting on it. But one of the things with foundation models like LLMs and things that people are incorporating into fusing data together, they don't know a lot about your individual practices, and that's so important in any institution or organization to have a better sense of what you're doing. And so through video analysis, sensor networks, we have the ability to start to learn some of these practices, and these will be iteratively refined. And then the other big trend that I see is AI migration to the edge of the network. So right now we have a certain latency with any type of decision support, where we have to send data to the cloud, and then it comes back sometime later with an analysis. And as we have IoT devices with more bandwidth and more CPU power, we'll have deep learning models on the edge of the computing network, and so the sensors themselves will be able to make decisions. And I think that will really, and as the number of sensors proliferates, will have a much faster reaction time, and then new levels of safety applications will be available. And so those are the two main trends that I would highlight.
So like, where do you see AI? You're talking real-time decision support kind of thing. Where do you see that heading? You said like LLMs in the sensors right at the edge of where the workers are, sensors, workers.
LLMs and other deep learning models, yeah. Yeah. We're already doing it on some of our on some of our sensors, and it's a big trend in the industry.
All right, Hewitt, what can we do now to prepare for 2027?
Well, certainly we sort of already have prepared, because we see the future as not, more checklists. It's intelligent audits and intelligent use of the data that is collected, and we have added two features that align with those two pillars into the Certainty platform. We have Certainty Vision, which is a tool, an AI tool that analyzes all and any of the attachments that are added to an audit, and it automatically analyzes the attachments and answers and completes the audit for the auditor, and it provides confidence scores and text-based substantiation as to why it's answered in that way. It links the reference, the substantiation to the question itself, so it speeds up the actual validation process. So this significantly increases the accuracy of the audits, the complexity, the detail that's collected, reduces the time that's involved, and allows auditors to spend their time verifying and validating that what's collected is in fact correct. And we've also added something we call Certainty Insights, which is effectively prompt-based reporting. So you can say, I'd like to have an executive summary. I'd like a list of the top 10 corrective actions that should be implemented. I'd like a risk rating. I'd like this audit compared to local legislation to see what kind of compliance issues we face. So again, a very intelligent use of the data that is collected. So again, you get much more powerful information and certainly routes and tracks to assess and verify the information that is collected. So it's about using AI intelligently to do more, faster, and better.
Awesome. Chip, what do we look
So
at?
I see, sorry.
Go ahead.
So I see, it's interesting to me, especially when we help some smaller businesses that think they're so far away from this, but just a more integrated use of data into risk forecasting, into this idea of stopping unsafe behavior. And I think as price points become more reasonable, as the bar raises, some of these things will just become standard in all size businesses. I mean, these are not kind of like best practices in a safety program. Those are not just for the massive brands. And what we're seeing is kind of the bar raised, the floor raised for everyone, with the accessibility of some of these tools and this idea that you're going to be, it's no longer in the reporting, it's in the forecasting. And when, as a safety manager at a site, and you got 400 people under you, and now you have your cameras doing the audits for you, and now you have basically the ability to go engage with the people and be not behind your desk. I think that's gonna float all boats. I mean, obviously the leading brands and the huge global brands are ahead of the game, but there are thousands of businesses out there that feel like they're way behind. And I just see this massive wave of innovation coming that is going to be aimed at these small businesses.
Cool. Yeah. Okay. So let's fast forward to, okay, we've proven the ROI. Executives see it. It's all in a beautiful binder, if we still use binders. And it's clear but the resistance is still real. So how do you overcome the "we've always done it this way" mindset? So how do you get them to just cross over? Chip, do you have a rollout where the change management made the difference?
I mean, that is by far our biggest competitor, is change. Because you got folks that have done it that way, or this is the way they do it, or there's an expectation from management that they're going to get a certain report in a certain way. And whatever we do, we can't change the TPS report. So we gotta have the same, we need the same report. You've got to build a coalition around some wins, and you've got to show those wins early, and you've got to show you've got to overcome this fear of change, and at its core, understanding the why and what people are doing. Why are we doing this? Be kind of similar to what problem are we solving, but as an employee, why am I doing this? How does this help us? How does this help drive productivity, profitability, and morale? Is this technology going to help us do that? And when it does, you need to be able to highlight it. You need to be able to raise the prospect of a win. And so that's an approach that we found pretty effective.
Cool. Yeah, thanks, Chip. Hewitt, how do you break through that mindset? This is the way we've always done it.
Well, I think as Chip was saying, it's about having some proof points, and from our experience, we used to offer free trials, but if you put a button on your website that says free anything, people are just going to click it, right? There's no commitment there. So you've got a free trial, no commitment. So we changed it to what we call a proof of concept, which is where the prospective customer will pay for what we call onboarding. It's a very, very small fee, and it covers the configuration of an instance, the basic and advanced training, the setup, everything. And it's a 30-day process. They commit their time, we commit ours, but at the end of that process, they paid for training, and that's it. They haven't had to pay for any user licenses or commit to a long-term project. But at the end of that process, they have a project that's ready to go. They've been able to prove that it works for them. They've been able to de-risk the process, and they know exactly what they're working with when they make the decision. And they have the material and the results to take to a senior manager and say, look, it's working. And so we found that just that, making sure you get at least a little bit of commitment from the other side of the table to participate in a process to help them prove that it works, the results have been significantly improved.
Awesome. I love that. In my past life, we've done free trials. That's the commitment. It aligns sometimes with the free, and it's not great. I love that answer. Brad,
Yeah, I hear that one too.
You're talking AI and there's fear, there's skepticism. How do you get around that? How do you change the mindset?
Yeah, so it's like the fear, uncertainty, and doubt. I think it's about being sensitive to the concerns of all parties, and really with FUD, the answer is education, transparency, and clear impact. I think some of the other speakers have touched on that, but you've got to demonstrate the reliability of the system that you have. So you have to have your facts. You need to be able to have what they call explainability or interpretable AI. Or you don't need to, but it helps quite a bit to be able to give some insight into how the decisions and explanations are being made. And then, of course, everyone needs to know that you have human oversight. So emphasize that AI is a decision support tool, and it's not the decider, right? So the human-centered approach to AI again helps shift the ownership from leaders onto the team as a whole, and I think that increases solidarity, increases productivity, and makes life better for all the workers on your team.
Awesome. Man, for a tech panel, we're sure talking a lot about people. Isn't that something? Awesome. So, okay. Now, most people at Safety Connect are safety professionals, which, that doesn't align with technology a lot or natively. So for the safety professionals out there, maybe how can leading or championing a technology, implementation or tool strengthen their own career trajectory? And Brad, let's start with you. It's like,
okay, yeah. So I would normally say that being fluent in tech increases your influence and relative power in your organization, through standard means of you're better at guiding strategic decisions. You can innovate more proactively. You become the bridge between non-technical leaders and tech team, which leads to more collaboration, solidarity, and buy-in. And then you can more easily mitigate skepticism, obviously, because you have a better ground to stand at. So in other words, the fluency in tech amplifies your voice. I say normally because I want to be a little contrarian. There's no doubt that being fluent helps you win friends, at your organization. But it's really the table stakes, I think, nowadays. So I think we really need to meet AI where it's supposedly going, and we need to, in order to do that, we need to continue to cultivate soft skills, what you would get normally in the humanities. A sensitivity, for instance, to what people need, what they want, what motivates them, how to use rhetoric to frame arguments. And so the reason is something we already touched on. Nearly all safety problems in the end are due to bad social or cultural organizational patterns. So for instance, like the failure to encourage dissenting opinions, the failure to recognize when institutional drift is happening, the inability to communicate risk up the food chain for lack of, courage, for instance, pressure to meet deadlines over safety and all that kind of stuff. So the most influential people in AI safety won't just be technically empowered engineers. There will be people who combine technical rigor with human wisdom and cultivate that as an end in itself.
Awesome.
Okay.
Awesome. Hewitt, what can they do to champion that technology? Digital skills, how are they going to separate tomorrow's leaders?
Yeah, great question. I think the most valuable skill for safety professionals will be, their ability to be data storytellers and making sure that they have the tools to collect the data that's important, but use it in a way to tell the story so that other people hear it in the way that they need to hear it. And it's about telling the story, but as we talked about earlier, it's also about telling the story about what will happen if we continue on this path, because we have those tools now. It's about storytelling both for both now and in the future, because the data, if you have the right tools, that you can collect that data, and you can use LLMs and AI to predict what that will mean with trends and analytics. But it's the leader of tomorrow will be the one who can use that information to tell the story and forecast better performance, shall you say.
Yeah, awesome. Chip?
So I'll just add on to what Hewlett just said. I mean, the tech fluency is going to be your influence, but your ability to connect data to company strategy and then show beyond maybe just what you think is your safety silo, that I think is going to be a hallmark of a future EHS leader. I do not think technology is going to replace safety professionals, but it will amplify the ones that use it. I think the ones who adopt, there's the saying, if the wave is coming, you need to be able to surf. And I think there's plenty of time to still learn how to surf, especially in your lane, and the tools are getting easier. But
yeah,
the wave is approaching. So you just have to make a decision. Are you going to surf this wave, or are you going to try to ride it out or get overwhelmed by it? And a lot of people feel overwhelmed. A lot of people feel like their job's at risk. But I mean, you can't code empathy yet. You can't code culture. You can't code human interaction. That is where we are at our best. That is where we can talk to our own employees and talk to risk managers and help understand, tell that story, use the data to tie it to strategy. But and I think the best safety leaders and developing safety leaders will do that. But the key things that make us solid professionals, that empathy, that human contact, that ability to understand why someone is doing something and how to tell the story around how they shouldn't, I think that is really where we'll see people excel and see kind of fields open up to more safety professionals.
I like that. We're in marketing with Safepedia, and a lot of it is it's the storytelling. You guys are saying the same thing. safety professional needs to be able to tell the story. It isn't look at the spreadsheet, look at these data points anymore. It's framing and telling the story and telling it. And I think Hewitt, you said it, in the way that the receiver needs to hear it. So how are you telling that story? What is the story you're telling? You know, and Chip, you're kind of saying it's like the Batman tool belt, right? These safety professionals that have the belt and understand how to apply these tools are it's amplifying the safety professional. It's not replacing them, because there's still the people element, and that kind of thing. I had someone say it to me the other day. They said, you know, when they go to the doctor, it's not a safety professional, but they'll not go to a doctor anymore that doesn't use some sort of help or tool to amplify what they're telling you. Or now when you go to the doctor, prepare yourself with questions. Get on Gemini, ChatGPT, understand better questions. What should I ask my doctor? What should I be asking my mechanic? So, you know, and those are simple, just LLM ideas, but it really is amplifying the people, but it isn't replacing them, I guess is my point. So, okay, so we've talked about a lot of things. It's not replacing people seems to be the bottom line here. Safety tech adoption, and Hewitt, you nailed it. It starts with alignment, not just the tools, right? We've got to understand what we're doing and how it fits into the business. Maybe go over that once again, Hewitt, because it happened in another call, but you said it. We can't just pick these tools. What should we be doing? What's like, talk about the first step again, because it is often overlooked, no matter how many times or no matter how much we know it. What do we need to do before we pick the new shiny tool that we all want?
Well, yeah, again, you know, the sort of the analogy and being in, having been in software for so long, you come across so many cool technologies that are out there looking for a problem to solve. And then you got to stop yourself. And now in the era of AI, it's only, you know, accelerated and you know, increased significantly. Start with the problem you're trying to solve, the requirements that you and your team and your business have to solve that problem before getting distracted with some new shiny technology, because there's lots of it out there. I mean, you can find AI enabled toothpaste these days, you know, like it's everywhere. So just make sure you know what you're looking for before you start looking. Otherwise you'll find something, but it's not going to solve your problem.
Yeah. Okay, Chip, we're building this business case around ROI, right? Time saving, efficiency, risk reduction. Final thoughts on you know, bringing that all together?
It's okay to start small, you know, like find champions, celebrate wins. Culture shifts by momentum, not by mandate. So you can't, you're just not going to will something to happen. You get buy-in, and it's okay to start small. You don't have to jump right to the deepest AI tool out there. You can bring yourself out of the 1900s, as my kids remind me when I was born. You can really start small and start getting huge wins. And when you get credibility, that will help you develop even further.
It sounds funny now, the 1900s.
They kill me with that every time.
I know, that's not good. Yeah, and Brad, you're talking about, you know, AI, predictive analytics, stay curious. So, you know, we're heading into 2027 before we know it. Final thoughts on what we got to do before we get there?
I think what Chip said is really good. You know, just amplify that. You know, being able to get attuned to what is out there right now, being able to iterate on the wins that you get, being sure that, you know, you protect the social culture of your organization and really work to create the buffers around any type of degradation that may come from, you know, new tools or fear, uncertainty, and doubt. I think those things are are really central to any successful company.
Awesome. All right. So bottom line, we're going to embrace technology as career capital. It's going to amplify you as a safety professional. So yeah, if you're ready to take the next step, this is a good place to start. We've got some questions. Actually, Brad and Hewitt and Chip. Hewitt, you've got a booth. Chip, you got a booth. Brad, do you have a booth in here?
We're doing a presentation, so yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so definitely, if you've got things in your booth, go visit their booth, download the stuff, or reach out to us or them directly. But yeah, let's cut to some questions if you guys are all right. We've got quite a few here. Brian asks, oh, this is a great question. Have you ever used technology or AI and then had to stop using it? And I knew you guys are on the other side of an implementation, but have you ever been a part of, you've had to stop using it since it didn't meet your needs? And maybe that goes right into your start small. Hewitt, you said run a committed pilot. So maybe talk about that, like starting and stopping because it didn't meet the needs.
From our perspective, the AI features in the Certainty platform are optional. So it's a very easy thing to try. And if it is too much, then don't use it. But in most cases, that's not the case. So probably for our experience, it's not a common example, but it is certainly something that you can start small with. And Brad and Chip have said the same thing in their own ways for their similar, respective corners, and that, start small, prove that it works, and go from there.
Yeah, no pressure. You guys don't have to.
Well, one thing I'll add, I mean, one thing that you see all the time, and maybe this isn't directly responsive, but like and there's just example after example of kids in school doing this and all that, but if you let AI make you dumber and you rely exclusively on ChatGPT to answer emails for you, and I mean, that is a recipe for disaster. Like this idea that it's replacing critical thinking is maybe one of the biggest risks. It is a risk of AI, but it needs to be a draft creator. It needs to help you sharpen your focus. It needs to make you more efficient. It cannot replace your critical thinking and your voice, because no matter how smart the technology gets, it is your voice. When you sit in a room with, that's the person who you're going to be talking to, and you won't have your Chat GPT there. So building bad habits as a young safety professional where you're 100% relying on an LLM to think for you, I feel like that's that just is a huge red flag and something that companies have to balance. I mean, they want more efficiency, but you cannot replace critical thinking.
I agree.
Here.
1000%. All right, another question from Nick, and we've got 2 minutes to go, so let's try and get into that one. What are some new and emerging tech that are not really known about right now? You guys have your fingers on the pulse. N8N, those automation tools, maybe? Are you seeing that stuff?
Yeah. So, I mean, the ability to do workflow analysis and workflow organization when you have and build in critical junctures with AI technologies. I mean, a lot of the other players here, I think Hewitt is already doing things like this perhaps, but these are consolidations of different platforms that already existed in the past that then get injected into AI. I mean, I think the greatest thing that we're looking at is the ability to extend foundational models into new areas of research, and that costs a lot of money, frankly. And so as we are able to lower the cost of that, I think we'll get more targeted models that can really shine in particular zones of human life.
Yeah, and in our case, the technology now is advanced such that, it's MCP server technology that you can, instead of connecting to a particular record, you can connect to an entire database, which of course then opens up the field for safety analytics enormously. And again, like Brad was saying, it becomes workflow oriented. So, the power of being able to interrogate an entire database of safety information at the click of a button is going to provide so much information for improved performance.
Yeah, incredible. Incredible. Well, you guys, you're invited to, Zach had a question. Unfortunately, we don't have time to get to it, but it is a good one. So feel free, if you guys want to jump on there, you can respond to Zach's question. It's about ROI. I won't spoil it, but it's a great question. But yeah, so I just want to really thank you. Chip, Hewitt, and Brad, great insights today. I mean, you guys have your fingers on the pulse more than most. You're involved in technology every day. So any parting words before we jump off?
Thank you. Thank you for inviting us, and good luck with the rest of the show.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, appreciate it, Jamie. Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Thanks, and may the AWS gods be with you. Cheers.
Yes. Yeah. We're almost through 50%.
Cheers.
Awesome, guys. Well, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
We'll see you on the next one. Take care.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Bye.